Welcome inside episode 617 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Pillar up in the Blue Mountains, getting you set for quarterfinal Wednesday at the World Junior Hockey Championships. Ridley Greig has been a two-time now player of the game, but Canada will face Switzerland in the quarterfinals. It's one of four games. We're going to get a preview of what to expect and which Sens prospects have the best opportunities to move on.
Definitely an exciting day, and we have an exciting SensCentral citizen. It's Nick Spence. We have a great conversation with him and a very, very juicy topic discussion that we're going to get into on this show.
Which is which players are best suited for 3-on-3. DJ Smith has lots of options. We'll give him our 2 cents. All that coming up on today's edition of the Locked On Senators podcast. It's your team every day.
Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Senators your first listen on this Wednesday, August 17th. And Pilsy, Ridley Greig might be the most unheralded player in this tournament.
I mean, what an absolute legend. I think all Sens fans kind of knew a little bit about Ridley Greig in this sense, but now that it's on a world stage and the entire country is watching Team Canada, I think finally people are starting to respect Ridley Greig the way they should have been all along, because he's not only just a guy out there that's going to frustrate opponents, draw penalties, maybe get a couple on his own, but that's you got to take the good with the bad with the Ridley Greig experience. But he's going to work hard, and he has a lot more skill than people give him credit for, not only on the goals he's scored, but some of the assists he's had have been excellent too. So, and then we can't forget Zach Ostapchuk as well. He's been a very effective player for Team Canada in a bottom six role.
Yeah, playing a lot less. What I love about Ridley Greig, and how can we not give some stick taps for the workmanlike effort on the PK? Canada went down 5-on-3, and it was a major penalty they had to kill off. And Ridley Greig goes out there, 2 great shot blocks. He's frustrating opponents. The only reason Finland got a goal in that 5-on-3 is because the puck went out of play and everyone stopped playing, including Ridley Greig. Puck goes back to the point, tip in front, and Finland gets on the board. But still, Canada able to persevere. And what I love about Ridley Greig, I mentioned off the top, being a 2-time player of the game. You know who selects the player of the game?
Who?
Management for that team. So Canadian management decided that even though Bedard had another sick goal, even though Mason McTavish had another multi-point performance, they wanted to single out Ridley Greig twice. Like, usually player of the game from minor hockey tournaments to world championships, usually they snap it around. Like, the same player won't get it more than once. So for him, out of the 3 games they played, 2 of them, he's been the player of the game. I think that just tells you everything you need to know about what Ridley Greig brings to a locker room and to a team.
Yeah, and you saw Connor Bedard talking about Ridley Greig after, just praising how much work he puts in, and that even in practice, Ridley Greig's not giving these guys any space or any room, and he's being physical. So
he's giving them the Kastlik Sokolov treatment, eh?
Yeah, although I don't know if Connor Bedard would want to go up against Ridley Greig. That's probably not.
How about Connor Bedard during the actual World Juniors or during selection camp last December? He compared Ridley Greig to Jack Eichel in the way they skate. Of course, that's lofty, and we're not putting that expectation on him. But when one of the best up-and-coming player in the world be like, yeah, he reminds me of that, that's a pretty, that's an opinion who I want to hear. It's not like you and me on our couch eating Built Bars being like, okay, we could do that. We could do that. This is Connor Bedard who's saying that Ridley Greig gives him those vibes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. A skilled, talented guy like Connor Bedard is being like, yeah, sure, I have skill and talent, and I know guys like that, but Ridley puts the work in, and he grinds, and he brings that talent out of himself. It's not just kind of there. And anyone that's played with Ridley Greig, they're just like all the guys we've talked to, Ross, like Sokolov, Carson Latimer. They're just like, it's so easy for him. Like, he's
even
just out there.
Oscar Pettersson, who would have had no idea who he was 2 weeks before.
True, no kind of predisposed judgment or anything, but he makes working hard look easy. What a concept.
Yeah, really cool, and exciting for Ottawa Senators fans. He's definitely far and away the best player they have in this tournament competing. Although Roby
Yes.
got another goal, we knew that he needed a big tournament, and he's got it. 5 points in 4 games.
And Ross, that whole Finland power play, I'm like, what are they doing trying to shift it over to that other guy?
I know.
And they had Roby on his wrong side to start the whole. I was so dumbfounded. And then finally, I don't know if it's when the next penalty happened and it became a 5-on-3 or a play stop or something. Then they put Roby over on that far side, on the right side, and they started setting the play up to feed him for a one-timer. Credit to the other guy. He made a great cross-seam pass and right on Järventti's tape. But that's what you need to have Järventti doing. It's all about his release. Get him in a position to snap it, and he's going to do that. And sure, the Canadian goaltender got a piece of it, but it was still such a quick shot. He wasn't able to fully keep it out, and that's a nice goal for Roby Järventti.
100%. So credit to him doing well. And they're on a collision course, although Canada got the better of Finland the other night.
6-3 win, yep.
They're on the collision course here. If the top ranked seed moves on in each of the quarterfinals, it will be Marilainen and Järventti versus Ostapchuk and Greig in the semifinal on this one side of the bracket. So it's possible, but first Canada gets Switzerland. So that should be a win, right?
I gotta go on a limb here and agree with you on that one, Ross. That should be a win. Yes,
they're pesky though. They are pesky.
They're no Latvia. Latvia always seems to have Canada's number, but I think the Canadians should be able to pull something through here.
All right. Well, Finland's taking on Germany. Sweden is taking on Latvia, and the United States against Czechia. So all 6 of the Sens prospects are in 2 games because the U.S. has Clevin and Hamara is with the Czechia as well. And Hamara's tournament's gotten a little bit better. Of course, one of the younger players, and he's playing a lot of minutes. Actually playing more minutes than David Jiricek, which I found interesting. And then Tyler Clevin, he keeps being listed as the third pair defenseman, but he keeps playing the second or third most minutes among U.S. defensemen. So we'll see if that trend continues. Of course, he's never going to be the guy who steals the highlight reel and who all the internet scouts are writing about because he doesn't put up those points. But he's a guy who's just quietly going about his business and doing it in an effective manner. So excited now. Hopefully we're past blowout season in this year's World Juniors.
Yeah, I mean, looking at these schedules, there is kind of room for 2 blowout games to happen here. Or I'll say 2. I'll say 2. Because Latvia, I think, is going to give Sweden a harder time than people give them credit for. That the Latvian goaltending, and their goaltending always seems to be so good. I don't think it's going to be a blowout game there.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll keep an eye out for that. We'll touch base about that on Friday's show. Coming up on Friday's Locked On Senators, Angus Crookshank will join us. Phenomenal interview. We are legitimate Crookshank fans. Like this guy, he brings such great energy and he's so thoughtful with his answers. You can tell he wants to be here chatting with us. And not many guys send thank you notes to us afterwards. Usually I send a thank you note once we post it. He reaches out, he says, always love chatting with you guys. And that goes a long way, man, because again, it's more than just chasing a puck around the ice. It's people, and we talk about that in our organizational value rankings a lot, which are coming every Tuesday and Thursday exclusively on YouTube. And I know some people in the car right now, they're banging their steering wheel. Do not watch and drive, focus on the road, but you can always download it from YouTube, I believe. If not, you can always just put it and don't watch, have it as audio only if you prefer in the car. But we are just doing 3 audio shows per week, but you can always subscribe on YouTube for more. And one of the reasons we're putting out shows, Pilsy, is the fantastic sponsors we have with the Locked On Podcast Network. And we've got new sponsor alert on today's show.
Yeah, Ross, and speaking of, not being distracted while driving, it's very important to be as safe as possible out on the road. And this is more of a public service announcement rather than it is a sponsor, but it is something very important, guys. You're hanging out with some friends, you're putting back a couple drinks, a few becomes a few too many, and as the evening comes to an end, people start to head out. We all know that time of the night, and you start thinking, okay, I'm leaving the bar, I'm leaving my friend's house, it's time to go home. You're calling for a ride. Don't let those thoughts of being like, I live so close, it's only a couple streets, I don't want to have to pay for an Uber or take public transit, I can make it home, it's not a big deal. You cannot have that mindset. What are the odds you're going to get pulled over anyways? Even so, what's the worst that could happen? Your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you lose your job, you total your car, or you could even cause harm to anyone else on the road or pedestrians or yourself or people in the car. It's very serious. Everyone knows about the risks of driving drunk. Their results are tragic and often deadly. However, that doesn't stop everyone from getting behind the wheel, unfortunately, under the influence. That's why the police officers are out there right now looking for impaired drivers on our roads to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, take a second, think again. Play it safe and plan ahead to get a ride, guys. It only takes one mistake to change your life or someone else's forever. Drive sober or get pulled over.
All right, now let's get to this week's SensCentral citizen. His Twitter handle is @WhiskeyNick, but he knows don't drink and drive. Have a few responsibly, and we have a great conversation coming up with him. So, without further ado, this week's SensCentral citizen, it's Nick Spence. All right, we're now very pleased to welcome this week's SensCentral citizen. We're bringing on Nick Spence. You can follow him on Twitter @WhiskeyNick95. Nick, welcome to Locked On Senators. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, it's a pleasure, guys. Been looking forward to this for a while. Started listening to you guys a few months ago, and you really appealed to me. I'm not a big podcast guy as far as listening to them. I'm more fun, like to record them, be on them, but listening to them, you guys you pulled me in. You're so energetic and engaged. You love your team. Great to be here. Great to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you, Nick. Always like engaging with you on Twitter and everything. And let's start this off the way we start off all our SensCentral citizen conversations. When and why did you become a Sens fan?
Okay, so day one.
My dad called me oneer. Wow.
Day one. My dad called me down to the basement in '92, and he's like, "Hey, we got a hockey team." And I was like, "I'm 6," so I was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever. I'll watch that with you, sure." So like the first season, maybe not super fan because not really knowing what's going on, but got into it as the season was going on. So yeah, sports kind of runs in my family. My grandfather did like play-by-play for the CFL. And color commentary and everything, like CTV, Global, CBC, the evening news, and like he was. So it's media and sports and stuff is in the blood. And my dad is a gym teacher, so sports just kind of comes with the territory. Yeah, I don't know. I just loved hockey, and it pulled me in. It was really fun the first season. I got really engaged in making sure the Leafs lost in that playoff run in '93. My buddy. Huge Leafs fan. So we're watching Game 7 against the Kings, and when Gretzky eliminated them, I'm losing it cheering because you're 6-year-old, right? You got to cheer Gretzky the best. You got to support the best, and he's in tears, man, my buddy, because the Leafs lost, and I just having a grand old time. So I got into it. I really liked listening to the games when I was a kid on the radio. Jody Hull was my first favorite, and then Bob Kudelski. My buddy, the same one, Leafs fan, he latched on to Daigle. So the year after, I latched on to Bonk, and I followed Bonk. Bonk's been my favorite ever since. And man, his kid now is coming up. So crazy. I think like the talk about trading next year's pick for Chychrun, I almost want to backpedal on it because I don't want to give up the chance to we don't want to pass up on Oliver, man. We got to get some other Bonks on the Sens.
That would be all time because we know the Sens like to draft with the friendship tour with family ties in mind, especially, hey, we've already got a son with Sean Donovan's kid being selected this year, but Oliver Bonk seems like the real deal, playing with the London Knights, obviously starred there at the Hlinka Gretzky Cup just 2 weeks ago now. So Nick, are you an Ottawa guy then?
Yeah, Ottawa all my life, Tanglewood area.
Nice. So are you able to get out to many games?
I try. I work as a custodian in the school board, so I'm up at 5 a.m. all the time. Ooh. So as much as I'd love to hit up all the Sens games, getting back from Canada on the bus is a bit of a trek, and it's hard when you don't get too much sleep, and then I got my kid and everything else. So like, I can't commit that many, but I hit more last year than I have ever before. I think I went to 15 or 16 games last year.
That's pretty good. You're looking at like a quarter of the schedule right now.
I'm getting up. Well, it's nice when they put all the games on Saturdays and Sunday afternoons, right? Yeah. And my kid's old enough now, and he's getting over some of his sensory things that he's got going on. So I started bringing him to games when they're on at like 2 p.m. or whatever.
Nice.
I love it, man. I love it. Getting him into it is fantastic. It's nothing like getting your kid into sports with you.
Oh, I believe it. Neither of us can relate just yet, but I can only imagine. Now, that's actually a really good point because I always kind of hate the afternoon games. Just it almost feels sleepy sometimes, but there's that family aspect that I think can't be discounted in this.
Yeah, I think like They usually do 2 or 3 of them a year, and I think that's a pretty good number because you get you see way more families at those 2:00 games on a Sunday afternoon because it's too late on a school night or whatever to bring your kid. Yeah. Most of them, their bedtime's at 9 or whatever, and you're keeping them up till 10:30 or 11. But I mean, I love going to any Sens game. That's my sanctuary is live sports.
100% love that. Pilsy, go ahead.
Yeah, we agree. And I want to kind of go from this angle as a father introducing the Sens to your, is it son? Sorry.
Son. Yeah. Son.
Okay. Yeah. So what was that like the first moment, and how much what's the line between pushing it onto them and letting them discover it for themselves? You know what I mean? Where do you toe that line being hey, the Sens are here. They're awesome. You got to love them, but do it your own way kind of thing. How did that go along?
So I'm lucky in a sense. My son is autistic, nonverbal.
Okay.
I only force it on him because he's not going to make that kind of decision on his own kind of thing. We just try to get him more integrated into just doing activities, anything at all. And for a long time, he had a lot of sensory issues as far as going to things a Sens game is loud, right?
It's very stimulating.
And a ton of stimulation. So we got him into going to a few things. We went to a 67s game first because it's a little bit smaller, and he really, really had a good time. We were into the second row, and every time the play was close by, he was really engaged. He was stimming a lot. He's up to it. So it was definitely a force him into it kind of thing because he's just it's not stuff he's going to make a decision on. But when we went to the Sens game, he knew what we were doing because we explained we're going to a hockey game, and he's rushing up towards the arena now.
Oh, nice.
And so there's a few minutes when you get into the arena, especially because CTC is huge.
Yeah.
He just kind of sat there and was absorbing it. But once he was in, he's in there and he's bouncing up. I got a great video of him going back and forth while they're playing some song, and he's just loving it. The only thing is bad is we went to the Rangers game where what's his name hit Murray in the head. Was it Kreider?
Oh, Kreider,
yeah. Kreider, yeah.
So that turned the crowd pretty toxic that
mm-hmm.
that
was an afternoon game. Yeah,
that was an afternoon game. Yeah, so it turned the crowd pretty sour, and he did not like that. Not a fan of the booze. Big fan of the cheers, but not a fan of the booze. But
gotcha.
I'm all for telling your kid they got to be a Sens fan. If my kid was normal, in quotation marks, whatever you want to call normal, I would 100% no, you're a Sens fan. You got no choice. Yep. My buddy does it with the Leafs. He's you're a Leafs fan. This poor kid, he's a Leafs fan now.
So based on the players on the team now, if and when you're buying your son his first jersey, whose name are you putting on the back?
Zoob.
Yes.
He's already got a Zoob t-shirt.
Awesome.
Gonna wait till he's done growing before I make the investment on because you see the kids and the little ones, you're he's gonna wear that for a year, and then that cost you $200 or whatever. So it's gonna be Zoob unless let's hope he doesn't leave or anything. Talks on an extension have slowed down. I've not heard a lot except for Simmer constantly being Simmer's they gotta sign him, but everyone else just kind of they do need to sign him. Give him 6 years right now. Give him 8 years. Give him 8 years right now. It's not my money.
The only thing, and I don't mean to put cold water on this, but the Zaitsev contract.
I was going to say, give him the Zaitsev deal.
The Zaitsev deal, they thought they were getting him at a good AAV, 4.5, 7 years, and 5 of them have been complete write-offs. Now, I'm not saying Artem Zub and Nikita Zaitsev are the same player, but if you can physically or mentally believe it, Zaitsev had 40 points his first season in the NHL. That's crazy.
You put anyone on PP1 and they're gonna get some points wherever, right? Now, hey, crazy idea. Let's put Zub on the power play and let him unleash that shot.
Honestly,
wow,
he's got it. He's got I know he's not our offensive defense whenever, but he can rip that puck.
Who would you rather see on the power play? Or sorry, what would you rather? Zub to get consistent power play time or to be used in the shootout next season? Only get one.
Only get one.
Yeah, you only get one.
Oh man, they're both so good because on the power play, you got everyone yelling Zub the whole time and freaking out the goalie on that.
Instead of shoot.
But on the shootout, you got Pilsy said a little while ago, where again, same thing. You got the whole crowd going Zub, and the goalie's like, "What the hell is happening?" I gotta say, you put on the power play just because it happens more often. The shootout is just too inconsistent. The Sens had 3 shootouts.
They didn't have many.
Yeah, they had some of the fewest in the league. I'm a big make overtime 10 minutes guy, by the way.
Yeah, 10 minutes of 3-on-3. I love the 3-on-3 overtime. It's exciting, but we also don't go to shootout because our 3-on-3 is so good.
Yes.
And now we can put out even more. I am excited for overtime this year.
Let's get into that. Who would be your 3 overtime 3-on-3 lines? Not throw the defenseman in there too. Who do you put on the ice to start the period? I think that's one that Ross and I have got into a lot.
Not Brady Tkachuk. I love Brady, but not in 3-on-3.
You gotta have Shabbat out there. I think Shabbat, Giroux, and Batherson would be a really good way to start overtime.
Okay.
Because Giroux's gonna win you that face-off, right?
Yep.
And
Huge in overtime.
Batherson is a magician with the puck. I love watching him play hockey. He's so good. And Shabbat, obviously, he can just up and down, back and forth. So if they got to do a zone exit and then come back in, he can.
Yeah, I guess you can do pairs because Shabbat can just stay on the whole 10 minutes. So
he probably will.
Yeah.
I think Sanderson probably, maybe not to start the year, but you can probably get him out there. And I'm a big Zub guy again. I think you can put Zub out there too. If you're gonna have 3 defensemen, you're gonna use in overtime. Those would be the 3, and then up top 6, you just rotate them however you want. I think DeBrincat stick him with Stützle would be so much fun.
Okay, yeah.
And then Norris and Tkachuk, just because they're best buds, they got to be out there together, right? It works out pretty good. We have so many things we can do with our top 6
and formant and speed in 3-on-3 situation. That's a big weapon.
I don't know that he's going to get too many chances 3-on-3, but I would love him and Joseph out there.
Yeah, imagine that
together.
As the play's developing, you catch the other team with tired legs, an offensive zone change, and all of a sudden you get those 2 out there.
Well, and Joseph is defensively responsible, so you're not going to have a catastrophe happen there where you're like, oh god, they got to get back. They get back anyways, even if they make a mistake, they're going to get to back to the goalie before the other team. This team this year is going to be so much fun. We have so many things to be excited about. And that 4th line, even that's a good grind them out line. If we got Kastelik and Kelly on there with Watson, that's it's going to be good this year. I may be tempted to go to a few too many games.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, well, that's a good problem to have. What do you think about? I feel like some teams, they'll put their best face-off guy to start overtime, win the draw, and then change right away. Because initially, my answer was going to be Timmy and DeBrincat to start overtime. But when Nick brought up Giroux, that face-off to open overtime is so important. I would almost say get Giroux on there, take the face-off, and then just jump off after you win it. Timmy gets on, hopefully sneaks around without coverage, and then all of a sudden, bingo, bango, bongo, it's in the back of the net.
Yeah, you could even do that. I think all the talk is Giroux's going to be a right winger and whatever, but I think you have him take the draw and then shift him over to the right. And I know Timmy needs the practice and everything. Yeah. And
Pinto too. Pinto was so good in college, but then all of a sudden, 30%.
Stick Pinto on there to start as well, right? If you're just going to run him right off the ice, as long as he's winning faceoffs, get him on there, win the faceoff, and then go. But he's got some offensive upside too, though. Everyone,
we saw him score in overtime in preseason last year, Pilsy, in Winnipeg.
Yep. Yeah, I like that idea, Ross. The only thing I don't like about that is I find that really slows the pace down of 3-on-3 right away, and I think the Sens key to 3-on-3 is playing that up tempo and using their speed. So I like the thought process, but I just find, sure, you have puck possession, but now you've slowed the game down, and now the defense is just waiting for you to attack. Whereas if you can win the faceoff and just boom right off and let Giroux go into the zone with Batherson, I think you may have a little bit better chance. But that's the first 30 seconds of overtime we're nitpicking.
I'm thinking the first 5 seconds, make it like a football play. Just imagine it's snap back to the quarterback, Shabbat, and then all of a sudden, Giroux's running kind of like an out route, and then all of a sudden, boom, Timmy flies off the bench, slant to the post, touchdown.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you can set it up like that.
I just need the whiteboard here, eh? Go there, you there, boom, back in the net. And then Frank the Tank, and there we go. So Brady's got to bring that back, by the way. But hey, that was actually a fun conversation about overtime. This team is, you mentioned it, Nick, they are going to be fun this year, but they're not guaranteed anything. What worries you the most going into next season that might not either play out as good as it looks on paper or something they still have to address?
So everyone's going to say right side defense there because obviously it hasn't been addressed yet. I still have faith in our Summer of Pierre that he's going to get there. Maybe it might be after the season starts. I don't know. It seems like Chychrun's kind of the only guy left unless there's someone out there that people aren't talking about. I don't know, Dobson or whatever.
It's crazy though that all the players that were initially talked about, they all did get moved. Like Marino, Uyghur, all these guys.
where there's smoke, there's fire, right? Like there's
true.
usually there's a reason. It's just Arizona they don't need to move quick on that. They're good.
3-year term.
They can hold on to him for a whole other year and they're still going to get just as good a return. Like that's it. Contract is going to keep aging better and better, especially if the cap eventually starts going up again. It's just going to look better and better because he's going to make bank on his next one.
He's a stud.
But no, I like instead of right defense, because that's where everyone goes. I'm a little hesitant about the goaltending. Just a bit. Forsberg looked fantastic last year, but he's never done it before. Never. Like that was goalies are like relief pitchers in baseball where like they have a really good year and then the next year they're gone. Yeah. They're just complete and utter garbage. You have like the Jim Carreys of the world who won the Vezina, and then where did he go? Nobody
started making movies, right?
Yeah, I think that's what happened. And like Cam Talbot's got a pretty strong, consistent career, but he's also been up and down. Like I think we'll be okay, but there's definitely a little bit of a worry there, especially if we don't pick up that other D in front of him. Because it's starting to come up on Twitter again. People are saying they're going to play Zaitsev. They're going to play Zaitsev. No, please don't. I don't want it. So I gotta have faith in Forsberg, but there's a little bit of worry there. I think he can do it, but he doesn't have a long history of doing it. So who knows? But then, I mean, hey, maybe Sosgaard comes up and he's lights out right away.
True, that'd be nice. So from the ice, I want to go to the bench and get your opinion on this, Nick. How much of a leash does DJ Smith have? It's been too many years of terrible starts right away, and the team's mathematically eliminated before you can even get any kind of momentum going. Where are you at with DJ Smith in this team, and what's kind of your timeline for how much leniency he gets here? 15
games, and if they are not better than, say, 7 and 8 ish by then, I think he's done. Like really? if they start out 5 and 10 or 6 and 9 or something, like I think the fan base isn't gonna go for it and they're gonna have to make a move. They seem to be pretty okay with listening to the fans these days. You're getting a lot more the fans say something and it happens, and I think we're kind of at the end of the rope for DJ. If he doesn't open quick and the team isn't good right away, he's probably gonna, I think he'll be gone at that point.
Now, do you think they promote from within? Maybe a Troy Mann steps up, or there's still some decent coaches sitting at home? Do you think they go that route?
Probably from the Sens have changed the way they do things lately, though.
I like Troy Mann, though. I like Troy
Mann. Awesome.
I love Troy Mann. My guy is Luke Richardson, but he's gone now.
I know.
Yeah.
Dude, that's Claude Julien's sitting right there. I don't know if the fit's right, but I know he's got ties to the area.
Interesting.
I don't know about Julien with all the young guys. Like,
yeah,
do you think
that?
Because that did not work out in Montreal.
No.
Yeah, like that's. I don't know that would go well. Like I'm thinking you need. I think Troy Mann's probably.
I think Troy Mann's the guy.
Think
about it. He has familiarity with Norris, Batherson, Formanton. All these guys have come up under his system. I think that he's the guy waiting in the wings. 100%.
I mean, now if they want to go out and spend the money and get like Barry Trotz or something, then
apparently Trotz is offered almost $5 million a year to.
I don't think we're going to be spending the kind of money you need to get Trotz. But
he's making $4 million this year to sit home and not coach. Yes. And if he signs somewhere else, so you know what? I think he's going to take the year off. Probably.
I mean, he's been coaching for 25 years straight.
Yeah.
I mean, he deserves a break. He needs a break, and he made the playoffs almost every single. He's had long seasons for a long time.
100%.
He's a hard coach. I think he's probably a really high-strung guy off of it. Like when you're not seeing him, he's probably pretty stressed all the time.
I think he has, like you said, I think he has a son who's special needs too. So I'm sure that it's good for him to kind of take some time off and just be a dad too. So I think Barry Trotz is probably out of the picture.
Yeah, no, I don't. I wasn't saying realistically.
I'd offer him $10 million. Like that guy.
That's not your money, right?
He's you nailed it. Also, he's as valuable as a top 6 forward or a top 4 D.
Oh yeah.
I mean, his resume speaks for itself.
But
I think we're in
the Islanders, right? Look at the Islanders. What happened without him? Right? They fell off a cliff. Yeah, not the same team.
Belzy, anything else for him? It's been a great conversation.
Yeah. Last one for me, Nick. Who's the next jersey you're going to get? What color and what name?
All right. I already got a Batherson in the black. I got a Bonk in the white.
Nice. Hey, 14 or 76?
76.
Yeah.
the original.
That's awesome.
And I got the heritage O in black with my name on it.
Nice. There you go.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Next.
How many points you put up that year?
In the video game, I set records. It was
There you
wild.
go.
Attaboy.
Like 100 goals in 50 games or whatever.
Nice.
I don't know. We got my wife, we got her a Kachuk recently.
Okay.
And my the next probably going to be the Zoob for my son. For me, I don't know. I love Zoob too. We had a whole family of Zoobs.
That would be cool.
That would
if you
actually
all
be
had
cool.
Zoob jerseys.
And there's 3 of you as well?
Yeah, there's 3 of us.
One for each letter.
Oh, that's my dream is you get the whole CTC on board. I'm holding up the Z, my wife's holding up the B, and then you hand out 18,000 U's.
Yes!
And they all just everyone's holding them up. That's
awesome.
Stand there at the front of the CTTs. A U for you, U for you, U for you, and see how many people go along with. I think that would be a fantastic.
I love that.
I almost feel like for our section for the home opener, this might be an idea.
Yes, all for it, man. At the pre party, whatever, everyone's having a few drinks.
Yep.
Everyone gets a U.
Yep.
And you get a
U, you get a U.
Well, whoever's in the front row on either end, one gets a Z, one gets a
No.
a B.
They gotta be. I guess if we're doing just 2 sections, you have the guy in the back left and the guy in the bottom right, and that way it goes all the way to the end.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Will we see you at the home opener?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Just waiting for you guys to send out that link so I can
Next
get the
week,
tickets.
or it should be live now. So we're living in the future right now.
Oh,
right,
yes, we're living in the future. Time travel.
And it's like,
Yes.
oh wow, I gotta get over there.
Oh yeah. No, 100%. So if you haven't already, head to our Twitter at SensCentral. And while you're on Twitter, go give Nick a follow at WhiskeyNick95. Nick, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. Great conversation. I love the overtime debate. Leave us a comment who your overtime lines would be. Nick, fantastic. It was great to meet you at the game against Montreal, and we're looking forward to doing it again at the home opener. Thanks for being a SensCentral citizen, man.
Hey, awesome, guys. It was great to be on. Look forward to getting back in once you're done interviewing 2,000 other people that want to get on here.
All right. Stick taps to Nick for joining us. Fantastic conversation with him. And we're already excited about next week's SensCentral Citizen. We're going all the way to Australia. It's going to be our 3rd SensCentral Citizen from Australia. That's pretty cool in itself. We've got some shout outs, of course. We've got Lincoln Berry and who's our boy? Ash Roger. We absolutely love it. Those guys, they started, Lincoln has a connection to Ottawa, whereas Ash, he just wanted to pick the coolest logo in Chell. So we're excited. We're going to have Jimmy Hyde coming up. So we'll ask Jimmy how he became an Ottawa Senators fan. But always my favorite segment, Pillsy. And those segments are brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is the #1 sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network, and for fantastic reason. You can do anything there, of course, all responsibly, but it's so cool to see the different odds, even if you're not necessarily gambling that day. Just seeing the odds leading into a game, you can really either cheer for the underdog, you can cheer for the Kings to stay on their throne. All that is available to you at betonline.net. It's got your one-stop shop for more sports scores, podcasts like the one you're watching right now here on the Locked On Podcast Network. And they've also got fun props. For example, who's going to be the first fired coach? There's always one. Who's it going to be? You can have your say there at betonline.net. Head to the website today, or you can even go to the mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. It's betonline.net, where the game starts. All right, Pillsy, just to wrap up, Team Canada, we're talking about World Juniors. Well, the Women's World Championships are coming up in 2 weeks. Team Canada just announced their roster yesterday. Of course, being an Ottawa show, we got to give stick taps to Jamie Lee Rattray, who's been a staple on that team for the last little while. There's still Marie-Philippe Poulin. Sarah Fillier is still up and coming, going to be an absolute stud. But they've also got a few holes to fill on the rosters. Natalie Spooner, who's always a well-known name there, she's on maternity leave, and they have a couple other regulars out. But I'm fired up. I think it's happening in Texas in the next, Denmark. They're going to Denmark. So the timing, it'll be like, have your morning coffee and get Team Canada. This is like the quickest turnaround they've ever had because the Olympics were pushed back a year. But are you going to be tuned in for that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Team Canada, the women's team has always been so successful. And Maybe the other countries still have a ways to go development wise to catch up.
Canada, US
that
is
takes
worth
time,
it.
but Canada, US, I'll never miss one of those games. They're just such great battles.
Every single time they play, it's like Game 7 of the Stanley Cup
Honestly,
final.
because for them it is. This is the biggest stage they can be on. It's the most eyeballs. It's the most marketing, contract, advertisers, all those kinds of things. It's a big, big deal for them, as it should be. Two of the greatest hockey countries going head to head, especially North American neighbors and rivals. So definitely when it comes to the time, usually the gold medal game where Canada's playing USA, I'll be tuning in.
100%. So we're looking forward to that. Hopefully we can get our friend Cheryl Pounder on over the next little while. I would love to chat a little bit more in depth with her on that. August 25th through September 4th is when we're going to have that awesome tournament. And Group A, Canada and US in the same group. Sign me up for that. Also, Team Finland. So we'll get a round robin action, Canada versus US. So that's all great stuff. Just to go back before we go, Nick Spence, something we talked about with him was the 3-on-3 line combinations. Like now that we've had time, because it kind of just came up at the spur of a moment. Now that you have time to kind of think it out, if you're DJ Smith, we kind of said what we would do. Try to put yourself in DJ Smith's shoes. What would be your 3 sets of 3 guys over the boards in 3-on-3 overtime?
I have a terrible memory, so I forget what we talked about with Nick Spence. That interview was recorded.
Everyone heard it 5 minutes ago. They're just like, you idiot.
Yeah, and fair. That is a fair comment. But I'm just gonna go with my gut reactions, and I'll hit you. Do you want to go line by line, or how do you want to do this?
Yeah, let's go line by line, because you gotta incorporate your defenseman when there's only 2 other guys on the ice. He needs to be integrated with what you want to do.
Maybe go 3 forwards. We'll see.
Whoa!
Probably not though. Probably not though. My first lineup, the guys I want on the ice right away. I'm going Tim Stützle, Alex DeBrincat, and Thomas Chabot. So that's my first 3 guys on the ice.
My only qualm with that is the importance of the face-off.
Yeah. And okay, now it's coming back to me. We did talk about this because you want Giroux to take the face-off. They hold it back and then get off. Like I mentioned, it's starting to come back to me now. The wheels are turning. I'm not a big fan of that. I find that slows things down too much.
Whereas for me, to me, it's like Timmy's going to hide behind coverage and then all of a sudden fly off the bench, get the pockets in the back.
I'm going to have faith. Timmy's going to start working on face-offs, and he's not going to be as much of a liability face-off. Yeah, it would be great to ask him about that for sure. So that's what I'm starting with. Stützle, DeBrincat, Chabot.
Okay, cool. My thought process is Giroux, DeBrincat, and Chabot, where then Giroux hops off. And then if they lose the draw, who would you rather as a defensive presence out there? Probably Giroux. Then he stays out for his entire shift.
I'm not playing overtime to not lose, Ross. I'm playing overtime to win. I
know. We've seen enough of Guy Boucher. But if you lose the face-off right off the bat, you have to defend. So Giroux, in that sense, will probably be a guy I want out on the ice. So just to be a little bit different, I'll say start Giroux and DeBrincat. DeBrincat's a no-brainer because he's built for
40 goal scoring. He got it.
Yeah. So then I'm going to go, maybe this is a little bit different, but I'm going to go Norris and Batherson as my second duo. They've got great chemistry. You get a shooter, you get a playmaker, and Norris can fly. So I'm not worried about speed with him in that situation.
Who's on defense?
I'll throw Sanderson out there.
Okay.
I'll throw Sanderson. And then my third pair, I'm putting Zuba as my third defenseman over the boards. Zub or Brandstrom, but I probably lean Zub. And then up front, I'll go. Oh, I don't even have Timmy out yet, so I got to get Timmy in the mix here.
Yeah, but yours is weird because Timmy essentially is on your top.
No, but for the purpose,
like what if Giroux loses the faceoff?
Then he stays out.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying. Like a little bit more of a defensive mind and awareness and that sort of thing. So Timmy. Oh, who am I putting him out there? I mean, at this point, like you kind of have to get Brady over the boards at some point, right? Like to me, he's not built for 3-on-3, but at this point, you're like, okay.
And he scored some good 3-on-3.
He has actually. He has scored some overtime winners.
Montreal and the one in Colorado, right?
The Colorado one was sick.
Was epic. I mean, the Montreal one was epic too. So my second trio to come out is going to be Claude Giroux and Brady Tkachuk. Give me. It's
not as much speed as I think you need out there.
Which is fair. That's a fair point. But give me the veteran and the leader. And I'm throwing analytics out the window there. It's all about emotions. Drew knows how to get it done. He's going to win that faceoff for you, hopefully, and then Brady's going to will his way in there. And then I want Sanderson as a defenseman there so he can make a good first pass so that speed isn't as detrimental there.
Fair. You should almost have Shabbat and just call it the captain line because G's going to wear an A. Like
he has to. And then my third pair, I'm going Norris, Batherson, and Shabbat.
Okay, just roll Shabbat. Nothing he hasn't seen before.
He could play the entire overtime. I wouldn't be that upset. So he's awesome. On two lines there. Yeah.
And who's your goalie?
Well, I guess not Brady because he's on my second line here. But I'll probably keep whoever's been playing in that game. I'll keep them in net, Ross. I won't do the full line change there.
I just saw that out of the corner of my eye. I had to pull it up. Brady Tkachuk wearing Anton Forsberg's gear. That's all time. If you're watching on YouTube. And again, if you watch on YouTube or if you don't, make sure you do every Tuesday and Thursday going forward. We're going to have our organizational value rankings. Tier 8 is already out. Tier 7 will be presented tomorrow. We've also got some fantastic interviews coming up. And then on September 13th, we are back to 5 shows per week, full-time Sens hockey just around the corner. For Brandon Pillar, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.